The Las Vegas police have announced that a grand jury has indicted the suspect who shot Tupac Shakur on charges of murder involving the use of a dangerous weapon in the 1996 assassination of the iconic artist. Stay tuned to finally glimpse the individual allegedly responsible for Tupac's murder after years of relentless pursuit. According to the police, Dwayne Keith "Keffy D" Davis, now 60, was taken into custody on Friday morning in Las Vegas. As part of the investigation into the shooting, the house his wife shared with her parents in Henderson was investigated in July. Conspiracy theories and an inquiry that has lasted for decades have been centered on the unexpected death of the rapper, who was just 25 years old when he passed away. In a press conference on Friday, the police presented Davis as the mastermind behind a scheme to assassinate Shakur in vengeance for an assault committed against his nephew. Davis has long since positioned himself at the site of the murder, claiming that he was in the front seat of the white Cadillac that pulled up behind Tupac Shakur's vehicle when bullets were fired from the rear seat, resulting in the rapper's death. The rapper was shot 4 times before succumbing to his wounds 6 days later. At the press conference, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Sheriff Kevin McMahill said, "For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice." According to what McMahill indicated, the inquiry began on the evening of September 7, 1996. It is not even close to being over. The efforts put in by the male and female members of our murder division over the course of many hours and, in reality, decades have brought us to this point. The homicide lieutenant of the police department, Jason Johansson, said that the murder was a retaliatory act in response to a fight between 2 gangs in Compton, California. According to Johansson, both Shakur and Marion Suge Knight, the former CEO of Death Row Records, were members of the mob Piru gang in Compton. Davis, on the other hand, was a member of the Southside Compton Crips. At that time, Mike Tyson was boxing at the MGM Grand Hotel when Shakur was in Las Vegas to watch it. Several people associated with the Southside Compton Crips turned up for the celebration, including Davis and his nephew Orlando Anderson. As both groups were leaving the fight, members of Death Row Records spotted Orlando Anderson near an elevator inside the MGM, and at that time they began to kick and punch him near that elevator, said Johansson, presenting hotel security video of the assault. It was clear that Shakur and Knight were among the individuals who assaulted Anderson. Little did anyone know that it would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur, Johansson added.
Cases in American history, and now police in Las Vegas say they have made an arrest in connection to the drive-by killing of Tupac Shakur.
Both groups eventually departed the hotel, with Shakur and his entourage going toward a post-fight after-party that was being held at a nearby nightclub. According to Johansson, once Davis learned of the assault on Anderson, he began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur. Davis, Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Anderson all got into a white Cadillac after it was established that Davis had obtained a firearm from a close associate. At some point in time, while they were in the white Cadillac, Mr. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat of the vehicle, Johansson said. These passengers were then able to use the firearm. Although it is said that Anderson and Smith were both in the rear seat at the time of the shooting, the indictment does not indicate which of the 2 men discharged the gun. According to the police, the gang located the black BMW in which Shakur and Knight were traveling, started firing at them through the vehicle window, and then departed the area shortly after that. Dwayne Davis was the one who called the shots for this gang of people who were responsible for committing this atrocity. Johansson said he was the mastermind behind the plot that was ultimately executed to commit this crime. He said that all the other people involved in the crime had passed away, including Anderson, who denied his connection with the murder to CNN before he was killed in a gang-related shooting in 1998. According to Johansson, the police have had a long time to piece together the events that occurred that evening, but they lacked sufficient evidence to advance the case. According to Johansson, the investigation into the matter, which had been ongoing for many decades, was reinvigorated in 2018. Therefore, to what he has indicated, Davis's own confessions about the crime were an essential part of the inquiry. Also, a copy of the book that Davis wrote about his time in street gangs and the murder of Tupac Shakur was found by the police in July when they searched the house where Davis's wife inhabited. Davis portrays himself in the biography as one of the only 2 live witnesses to the killing of Tupac Shakur. The other witness, Suge Knight, is now doing time in jail for manslaughter in connection with an unrelated case. When asked who of the 4 guys in the automobile was responsible for pressing the trigger, Davis said, "Going to keep it for the code of the streets. Bro, it just came from the back seat where we were sitting." Officer Johansson said that law enforcement personnel knew that the re-examination of the case in 2018 was likely our last time to take a run at this case to successfully solve this case and bring forth a criminal charge.
Well, I know there's been many people who did not believe that the murder of Tupac Shakur was important to this police department.
Mopreme Shakur, a musician and the stepbrother of Tupac, described the news of Davis's arrest as bittersweet. He added, "We have endured suffering for a number of years." He claimed that they have known about this guy, who has been running his mouth for years. He then said, "So why now? From our perspective, this is not yet over. We want to know why it happened, as well as whether there were any other people involved." Although his career was brief, it had a significant impact, and the artist left behind a significant legacy in music, fashion, and society. He was born in Harlem, New York on June 16, 1971. His mother, Afeni Shakur, who had been a member of the Black Panthers in the past, was the only caregiver for Shakur and her 2 children until the family relocated to Baltimore, where he attended the Baltimore School for the Arts. Soon after, the family relocated to Marin City, which is located in the state of California. Although he moved about quite a bit when he was little, Shakur always regarded Oakland as his home. In an interview from 1993, Tupac Shakur said, "I give all my love to Oakland, and if I'm going to claim somewhere, I'm going to claim Oakland, even if I don't live there."
Music can be to the getting over and getting along in your life. I know how the music can heal people's soul.
In 1995, Suge, a co-founder of Death Row Records and served as its CEO at the time, visited Shakur in jail in New York, where he was serving a term, and offered to pay his bail on the condition that he would sign with the company. Shakur accepted the offer. So Shakur gave his consent and signed a recording contract with Death Row Records, becoming one of the musicians on a roster that also featured Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. 11 of the rapper's albums were certified platinum. 4 of them were released during his career of 5 years, while the other 7 were issued after his death. First released in November 1991, Tupacalypse Now was his first studio album. In addition to that, he was a poet, and his work can be seen in movies such as Poetic Justice and Above the Rim. His introspective songs often touched on subjects like racial inequity, poverty, and gang violence, and he used his music to remark on many social concerns. Share with us in the comments section below your thoughts on the suspect and whether or not you believe the authorities have solved the case at this point. And that wraps things up. We appreciate you watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.